Let's get to two. The politics that is turning around the 2030 emissions targets. Now, when we all read the trumped-up stuff last week, and remember, we went on that journey from the interview in The Australian to the spin to what was really going on, my first instincts, I won't lie, was to go, well, hang on, the politics, where is this, right? But of course, you're never fighting one election forever, right? Like clearly, Scott Morrison was not fighting the 2022 or the 2019 election in 22, and conversely, Albo will not be fighting the 22 election in 24 or 25. But he thinks that he did. Why? Because it's like all politicians, the last one that he won, and I've still got the special connection. But even when the Guardian polling shows you that it's 52-48 as whether we should keep the 43% and the 2030 target of Labor and the Greens, or whether we go with the Peter Dutton model, that is a change in the politics, a dramatic change in the politics. So, Joe, I think for those that are advocating for the Prime Minister's position on this, and we went through up and down and hell and high water and all the rest of it, right, is that as soon as cost gets involved, people's opinion changes.
That is absolutely correct.
That's where we are now, right?
Yeah, that's right. And that even came up when we were doing the Net Zero series at News Corp, which I was very privileged to play a leading role in. We commissioned our own polling, asked that very question, and everyone believed in action on climate change until there was a cost to it. And the higher that cost got, the fewer and fewer people seem to rate it as a sort of must-do priority.
And that's where we are now.
Area. And that was before the cost of living stuff was really biting. Now, and again, you compared it to The Voice in your opening monologue, you can see, notwithstanding just the shambles that was the Voice official campaign.
There's a correlation,
strategy. But as the cost of living started to bite and interest rates went up and up and up and up and up, support for The Voice as this sort of abstract, distant, big sort of grand national gesture or whatever, goes down, 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 down. So it is so simple. It's not rocket science. Everyone knows it. Holly knows it. People will say they want action. People can afford to think about big picture stuff, big nation building stuff, vision stuff, long-term stuff, abstract stuff. They'll support it till the cows come home, when they don't have to worry about things that are happening in the here and now. As soon as there are real pressures to your household, to education costs, putting food on the table, everything else goes out the window.
Well, and that's where we are now. Guys in the control room, if we can bring back that image that I showed during the editorial that showed the change in things from 2021 to 2023 while Holly's talking here, it does mean that in a trend line, things are starting to move back to the position that Peter Dutton is saying here. And I think rightly so, which is we agree on the destination, net zero 2050. I'll see you there. You can go your way. I'm going to go my way. His bet is that nuclear at some point supercharges to that goal. That's his bet. It's not the Greens and Labor. But I tell you what, my instinctive feeling about the electorate is that while many of the loud voices are still in there for the Teals and on Channel 2, the people in the middle are going, mate, sorry, like I know it's important, but get back to me in a couple of years' time and trying to pay off my house.
But this is the same, for those who've been around politics for a really long time and followed it closely for a really long time, this is the cycle. And the cycle has always been put the coalition government in, they get the budget back under control, economic conditions back under control, people start to be feeling very comfortable, their life is going well, they can afford what they need to afford, everything's hunky-dory in their lives, so they can start to think about the big issues. And, we've had the doctors' wives, we've had all the different types of different ways of putting it. But at the end of the day, it's always been the same sort of political cycle that when everything's going well, and to Joe's point, people like to think about the big issues, but when they can't put food on the table, when they can't pay their energy bills, when their mortgage is out of control or they can't find a rental, then all of a sudden it becomes a little bit about more me and what my family's experiencing, not what I need to do for the greater good. And, I think this is where we're seeing climate change, was that everyone was like, oh, climate change, absolutely. We're all in favour of supporting things that are going to reduce emissions, that are all going to make the world a better place, when the reality is we're 1.3% of global emissions. China is outstripping us almost weekly on what they're contributing to them, yet they're excluded from Paris as a developing nation. People are starting to wise up to this sort of rhetoric, but they're also seeing the costs that are being absolutely inflicted on them via this zealotry and ideology chasing by Chris Bowen. And they're starting to say, we can't afford this. My job's not secure. I can't afford to pay the rent or the mortgage. I can't put groceries on the table. Like, this is getting out of control. And I think we're starting to see that. And as you said rightly at the beginning, people are interested in these sorts of issues when they can afford to be interested in them. When they can't afford their basics, sorry, not my problem.
I always do love, by the way, when the Channel 9 newspapers find in their polling what you had 2 years ago. But I do appreciate it. Thank you very much, guys. I really do.